Hey everybody. Been a couple days since I last recorded a bit of the Steel Soul run, so I figured I'd boot it up again and play a little further into it. Last time I think I ended up getting just about to where you get the dash and a little bit past there, so next is going to be generally getting the hovering cloak and then also fighting a couple more bosses to get to the next major town. So right now, it's not going to be anything too crazy for the most part, just going through this area for the majority. Okay, and I don't have enough rosaries, I guess. Thankfully I have a couple spare items though for it. So that should let me get both the Bellway and also the maps here. Don't know if I'm going to be able to get all of these and the Bellway. I don't think quite, but I'm definitely going to try to get as many pins as I can just so I can help help myself to remember a little bit more what I need to get later on. I know there's a flea in here that I can get, so that'll make a little bit of progress on the flea side quest just early on. It's still going to take a little while before I'm able to get them to move outside of Bellheart. I think I need at least 5 for that, and maybe a few more, but once I'm able to do that, they can also give me the flea brew, and that can give me later access to just a little bit of extra money. I think one of the next things I'm also going to be trying to look for is getting another mask. Because as I've mentioned before, having 6 masks doesn't do quite as much for you in this game as having 7, just because of so many enemies dealing double mask damage, so having, you know, an extra 1 mask on top of those all makes a much bigger difference, but even having 6 means that you can kind of get an extra mask when you're healing more often than not, without having to risk it quite as much. It can sort of offset the, you know, it can sort of offset the healing process and enemies attacking you and maybe getting you a little lower just by having the extra heal. Let's see here, so I think there's a little bit up I can go to here. The other thing I'm hopefully going to be able to get fairly soon is going to be the wall cling. That'll make a lot of traversal much easier. I know there's a couple areas around here that do give you a couple extra items, plus I'll be able to get to the Forge Daughter soon, which will let me get a couple trinkets, so that should be very, very nice. Let's see, I think this is actually the room I already came down from, isn't it? Or maybe not quite. Let's see. I don't have the compass right. I do think this is the room where I got the dash from. So I'm going to be going back down and around to get to the Forge Daughter, and then also I will be going to the first Lace fight pretty soon. Not particularly worried about that one. I find she's not a terribly difficult boss, especially once you're more used to her. I found that even Lace's later fights, as of now, once you have a couple more masks, typically about 7 or 8, really is not particularly difficult, which is kind of nice, because that was one of my original worries for doing Steel Soul, but having practiced it a couple times just going for other achievements in the game, like beating the final boss while cursed, I found that most of the fights no longer really worry me that much, albeit some of the new enemies that are exclusive to Steel Soul mode, I definitely am not sure how those are going to go. This up here is just a little lore tidbit. And then another fight room here. point since I've really played much, so I'm definitely still getting back into the hang of it a little bit. There we go. Not too bad of a room. I think the area to the right only unlocks once I'm able to get a simple key. So that may be a little while, especially depending on what I use my simple keys for early on.
Hironare. Da, finestra. Mario. Catestre.
Alright. The main thing I really am going to want from this character is going to be this, the crafting kit. That'll make all my tools do quite a bit more damage. And there's only 4 of them in game, so each one adds a pretty good chunk of damage to your loadout. I think I may look around a little bit more, because I think there's a few items down here, and once I finish that up, then I'm going to go fight Lace. These things I do want to be a little careful with, because they definitely can mess you up. I don't think you can hit them through the floor. I think I tried it before and didn't have much success. But they do deal 2 masks of damage right off the bat, and they've got a pretty big hitbox, which is pretty much unavoidable if you're near them. Okay. So I believe a little bit lower is going to be where I can get either a mask shard or a spool fragment. Don't remember which. I know there's also a couple shell shards in here and some outcroppings. Ton for me, but having a little bit extra backup just in case I need to use the tools is going to be nice. Making sure you're always constantly jumping on those little fire things is always a good way to generally keep from getting burned. Alright. Having a little bit of extra max silk is nice. It's not super important, but it's nice to have. Especially as I get more. It definitely builds up a lot more over time in Silksong than it does in the original game, but that's alright, because it still ends up being generally about the same amount of maximum silk or soul or whatever you want to call it. And so now I think that's pretty much going to be good for exploring the deep docks for now, so I'm going to go ahead and fight Lace in just a minute.
That's fine.
Alright. Luckily, her first fight, she doesn't really catch you very much when she does the swinging combo. In her later fights, the hitbox I find is much bigger, and she'll catch you a lot with it. Plus, I find it a lot easier to hit her when she dashes in her first fight. The parries later game definitely are one of the main problems in her fight. Alright, and there we are. Nothing too much, now we should be able to get to the far fields. And ring one of the first bells. Okay, I think as of now, that's 2 of the 5 bells rung that you need to be at 1. Some of these platforms you're able to hit enemies through them, but sometimes they're a little bit too thick to do that. I don't remember if there's any extra rosaries up here or anything like that. Doesn't seem like there's too much extra that's worth it for going around there. More ant warriors, everybody's beloved. Trying to be able to actually get enough to heal. There we go. A little closer than I'd like it to be, but that's kind of what I get for going and trying to fight 2 of them at once. Don't remember if there's anything super useful up here, but some extra rosaries is nice. Not playing very well against these guys today, but that's alright as long as I'm not dying, I guess. Getting a little bit of extra damage once I'm able to reach Belhard is going to be, I think, one of the biggest upgrades, just because it'll let me take out a lot of enemies just a couple hits faster. That should make a big difference in just letting me focus less on having to dodge enemies all the time. Flea down. And that's the first part. Don't remember if there's anything super useful up here. I do know that the cloak is going to be downward, so I'll have to go there next, but reason not to go check out up here while I'm already here. I don't think this quite leads up to Pilgrim's Rest yet. That'll be one of the next benches, but I do think I need the cloak in order to get that. I don't have the map quite yet, because I'll have to go down first. That's where Chakra will be. Some extra rosaries is nice too. This hopefully should just let me get, I think, the Bellway and the maps while I'm at it. The Bellway is still generally near Chakra, but a little bit away. I don't think there's a secret wall over here, but there was a little ledge I missed, and so I just wanted to double check. Nope. Okay. Back down. And I think I did pretty much everything in this room for now. everybody's taking it today. Okay. And I don't think there's any specific use to going up this way. I know there's a few shell shards down lower, but I think you can pretty much just get up to it anyway. And then chakra should be in here. Yep.
Kadastama.
Va va.
Got a pretty good amount of rosaries right now. So I'm just going to finish buying out all of her stock. And then I believe the Bellway is going to be up. In here, I believe, is also a shortcut to the deep docks. To the area where you'd normally use the simple key, I think. There is a secret wall there. Warding Bell is a very, very good charm. That's probably the one I'm going to switch to. It just makes it so that if I ever get hit while I'm trying to heal, it nullifies any incoming damage. So yeah, I can't get that quite yet. Here, I think that lets me get either another spool fragment or another mask shard. These enemies are definitely a little dangerous, so it is important that I'm trying to be careful around them because they can deal 2 masks with their explosives. And over here, I think might just be another rosary chest. These guys are at least kind of nice in the fact that they can definitely do some friendly fire. Oh, that's uncomfortable. But I'm only 1 hit away from a heal, so I should be okay. Still definitely gonna try to play that safe though. These are probably one of my least favorite enemies in the game. Just because you always have to pretty much just stay back and play them really, really safe. Or at least, if not, they're much easier once you've got a couple damage upgrades, because then you can really just 1 to 2 shot them, and that makes them so much easier to deal with. Luckily, there's nothing too scary coming up at the moment. Okay. These enemies take a few hits for sure, but just want to be a little careful with how you take them on, and you're pretty good. I think most of the stuff around this area for these breakable walls is just shell shards, but I'm still able to get a couple at least. And then down here is going to be where I'm going to have to go first. That'll be the next boss in just a minute. Right. I think I did that last time I was playing this area too. Just on my own time. So I know there's a little bit of a secret downwards. I think it might be some rosary beads, but first off I just want to make sure I'm going to get this quest so I can actually get my next mobility item.
Timbiayan.
Keskomel. Sentaso. Madon.
Alright. this shouldn't take all too long, especially if you get enemies with good patterns, because the enemies that you get the spines from, they can shoot in a lot of different patterns. So assuming you get ones which are easy enough to actually get the spines from, you're pretty good. So there's the secret area. Yep, and just a rosary string. These are the enemies. So generally what I'm hoping to see is them having 3 spines facing downwards, because that means I can get all 3 of them, like that. The more of them I'm able to get, the better. There's a few of these around, so it doesn't typically take all too long, but... getting what I can now is definitely the nicest option. While I'm at it, I also have the other wish from Bone Bottom, just to get all the Pilgrim's Garbs for the townspeople. So it's nice to be able to get a couple wishes done at once, because I think that just gives me some rosaries when I do it. Not getting too terrible on the luck right now, which is nice. Albeit some of these positionings are definitely not the best to get quickly. Shell shards. Yep, looks like it. And then I can't get up there quite yet, but I should be able to pretty soon. There is, I believe, a weaver nest at the far right of this area, which normally gives you the silk speed anklets, which are also a very good trinket. They increase your movement speed, but it uses a little bit of silk whenever you do it. Dropping most of these rocks here I don't think does very much, but... And then up here I think is the actual intended way to go, and I believe right here is the weaver nest, yes. So I won't be able to get that until I'm able to use the needle in, and that'll be after I get to Belhart. This may be... Okay, that one was a bit hidden. This may be a bit of a tough area. Just at least to get the spine cores from these guys. Fortunately, sometimes it just shoots them in areas I can't really do much about, but that's the last one I needed. I think that normally just drops me back down anyway, and I don't think there's anything over there, so should be good to just head back. And fall into spikes. I also don't have to worry about taking these guys out slow anymore, so I can just get through their health bar much quicker. Dude just got obliterated.
Qu'est-ce qu'on mêle?
Alright. And now for one of the classic fan favorite scenes. Naked Hornet for like 2 seconds.
Yanara.
Qu'est-ce qu'on mêle?
Okay, and then while I'm here, I don't really care much about the Druid's Eye anymore, so I'm going to put on the Warding Bell, and that should do quite a bit. And I don't think I have any memory lockets quite yet. But those will be very, very nice, because then once I'm actually, you know, able to get one, it should let me unlock extra slots for my crest, so I can get the compass just to help myself, again, navigate the map a little better.
Qu'est-ce qu'on mêle?
While I do have most of the early game map memorized pretty well, and most of the later game map too, it is just kind of nice to be able to, you know, have something that helps me remember where I'm going a little better. Right, I still don't have Wall Cling quite yet. That'll be in Shellwood after Belhard, but before I fight the Widow. And I do think I have to go fight the 4th Chorus next. Yep, because I can't get up there quite yet. At least unlock some of these sort of shortcutish areas, but I can't actually progress up to Greymore until I get this done. Or at least until I get the 4th Chorus done. And getting a Mask Shard here is very, very nice. Because once I'm able to go back to Bone Bottom, I should just be able to use, like, the Bellway for that. Then I'll already have half of a mask. And then the other components I don't think are really all that tough to get. And here's the next boss fight. Not a super, super tough one, but it's definitely pretty cool. Definitely can combo you a bit if you happen to get unlucky like I did there, but gonna try and just beat this thing in a fairly quick time. I also do have the hover, so that makes it quite a bit easier to dodge these attacks if I ever happen to jump at the wrong time. There's still not much I can do to really hit its head any more often than just jumping over and over, but I'll make do. And that's pretty much the fight. Well, assuming I don't miss. There it is. And I do know over here, I think there's just some rosary beads or something, but there's, yep, a bit of a secret. Luckily, without having to worry about losing any of my rosary beads, it definitely kind of makes just exploring and spending them much nicer. Here's the Bellway. I don't think I'm quite able to fully unlock this shortcut until I'm able to get to Shellwood and get the Wall Cling. But there is a bit of a hidden shortcut down here. Oh, that was the bench. I think up in Pilgrim's Rest they sell a memory locket, so I'll be able to equip the compass up there. Yep, and there's the secret shortcut. I'm thinking I may really quickly go back to Bone Bottom. There's a couple things I can get in Bone Bottom now. One being I can get one mask shard just from purchasing it, and I can get another mask shard from a bit of an annoying fight to the upper left, but getting 3/4 of a mask right off the bat is going to be very, very nice. Alright. I figure I can just check here. I have 10 Pilgrim Garbs. I think I need 15 for the wish to be completed. 12. Okay, so I'll probably also be able to get that on my way up here. Fortunately, there's not really much I can do to get upwards damage right now, and this, not really a boss, but it focuses a lot on being able to deal damage upwards. So a lot of it, when you're fighting it early game, is pretty much just jump up, hit it once, go back, because it spits acid, which deals 2 damage and can be pretty scary. The timings can be pretty tight, but you can typically get a hit in each time. Now time for the most absolutely riveting gameplay for the next 2 minutes. I will say, this thing's actually almost able to curve the acid underneath the rock a little bit, I've found sometimes if you're not careful. So the best thing to do is try to stay on the other side of the rock from wherever it is when it's spitting the acid like this. It doesn't do much, but it can occasionally save you just a little bit of damage. Because I've had it definitely have a few times where it just happened to hit me because of that, and nearly killed me. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, there's not really much of a faster way to do this at this point, but the extra mask shard I think is worth it. So I figured I would go and get it done now. I could try that, but yeah, tends not to be worth the risk. Occasionally I can do 2 hits like that, but it can be a little risky, so I try not to do it too much. Yeah, there we go. That thing is arguably one of the most tedious early game enemies in the game. Then up here there's also this area for the simple key, and that'd let me get the Wanderer's Crest. I don't really have a huge need for the Wanderer's Crest, so I'm probably going to save my simple key for something else early on. don't fully remember where it is that I get my next mask shard, but having an extra hit will be really beneficial. So I'm kind of looking to get that as soon as I can. And I was sort of meaning to get a couple of the extra pilgrim garbs while I was up there. But it doesn't matter too much, so I think I'm just going to go back to Shellwood and get it later. Or not Shellwood, Farfields. Going back through here later, I might need the wall cling or something similar. For now, I've just got to go up. There's just an enemy or two in here, which doesn't do too much, but a couple extra rosaries might be nice. I don't think there's any real secrets to do with that room, because even if you have the straight pin, like this, it doesn't seem like doing that, just hitting the target, does anything very much. Okay, to the left. And then I'm maxed out on shell shards, so it's definitely not worth it to take out some of those enemies. And then this is the room we've already been in that gave us a little bit of rosaries earlier. So now I'm able to get to Pilgrim's Rest, and I think, assuming I have enough rosaries, I should also be able to get a memory locket. This building is a little bit annoying. Originally, I thought you had to pay rosaries every single time you entered it. But there's a bit of a trick where, assuming the door's open, you can just hit this gear, break it, and then it's open forever. Okay, so there is a memory locket. There's also a pouch upgrade, which would be very nice. I'm sort of determining, because I think definitely having a memory locket would be nice. And I think I do have a few spare rosaries, or not. Okay. So it'll definitely be worth it to come back here fairly soon to get some of those, because the crafting station and the pouch are both very, very good. I'm not sure which one would be more useful early on, but I think it would probably be the crafting kit just to get some extra damage. Especially once I'm able to get to Shellwood, I'll be able to get the purple heart that I mentioned before, and that will give my tools a ton of extra damage. I think pretty much more than any other combo in the game. Yeah, I don't think there's many secrets on the way up here. Pretty much this is just getting up to Greymoor. Later on in Act 3, there will be a bit of, I guess, I don't know if I'd really say a secret, but an extra path that leads you to one of the bosses. Even though I don't think there's anything up here, I still just like to double check, just because I don't have many of the secret rooms in this game memorized, just the main map for the most part. think there is a bench to the right, and that's also where Chakra is, so I'll be able to get the map early on. And then there's also the infamous bird room, which a whole lot of my friends have had trouble on.
Hironare.
I don't know if there's another mask shard I can get soon. But I figure I may look in here real quick. There's all these craws. They don't really give you very much, but... a few rosary beads is nice as always. These aren't really very worth it to fight right now. I always think these ones here with the pins are one of the more annoying ones. The other ones, there's another type of these birds which throw basically triple throwing daggers. Those ones I also find to be a little bit of a pain to deal with, but this over here is pretty much required just to progress this level a little bit more. Break some of these on for a couple rosaries, but this is going to be a bit of a challenging room, so I'm going to try to get myself a little prepped up before it. There is apparently a secret boss through this door here, which I have not fought at all yet. But assuming I go in here with enough soul to get a couple spells cast, I should be pretty good. And those would be the triple throwing knife ones. They aren't really too dangerous, but they do like to fly away from you a lot. Still, I'm going to try to heal as much as I can, just to be really safe about it, because this room definitely can be a problem. Really not making my heals worth very much now. Guess there's probably not much of a better time to use my straight pins. They don't exactly deal very much damage, but it stacks up over time and it keeps me safe. Go, and I think that's really the last problem enemy here, because this guy I don't have much of a problem with. Yep, there we are. That room is definitely a bit of a killer early on, but it unlocks you a whole lot of stuff. Especially right here. Quite a few rosary beads, so just another little boost. And for now there's nothing really left in there, so should be good to just move on. Especially now, I'm able to get another one of the bells, I think, to be able to end off Act 1. A lot of the enemies in this area are pretty notorious for just consistently flying away from you all the time, so... know there is something I can get if I go up. I'm not sure if it's worth it. I think there's a silk spool up there, or a fragment. So that definitely could be something, but there's also a few enemies up there. And pretty much as always, these guys are really annoying. Especially without double jump or a way to get a little bit extra height. I kind of just have to wait for them to come near. I may also just go back and heal up real quick, just so I don't have to worry about dying. Or I can't quite yet. That's mildly worrying. Well, shit, there goes the second run. I'm probably going to record on this again, but I think what I'll do is I'll probably just get back, give or take, to the point where I was here. And when I do that, I'll just continue the recording there. So it'll be a lot less repetitive. It'll have a lot less, you know, repeating all the same stuff, and hopefully just a little more new, interesting content. But with that being said, I guess that's going to be it for this attempt. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned.